Hello and welcome to the first edition of Testimony Tuesdays.
Yeah, we serve God around these parts. Alpha and Omega, he be finished before we start. The great I am, the one who let us know who we are. Christ the cardiologist created me a clean heart.
I'm Dana Lynette, and I've been wanting to start this series on Testimony Tuesdays for a while now. Just life. Life has been distracting me from my YouTube channel, but I'm back. Here I am. And so I had a vision for Testimony Tuesdays where I'd come on Tuesdays and share testimonies from my life. Testimonies about my born-again experience, testimonies just of the goodness of God in my life, testimonies about getting jobs, about manifesting vehicles, about, gosh, all kinds of stuff. So today, what's on my heart to share is a testimony about grad school. Okay, so I graduated from undergrad in the year 2002, graduated in May, got my first job in May, and started that new job in August, I think was my start date, August or September. I think it was August. Yeah, it was August. And my job had a policy. It was if you had been on the job for a year or something like that, then I worked for the state in Kentucky. Then the state would pay for your master's degree. I was a social worker at the time. So the state would pay for my master's degree in social work if I was accepted into the program. Now, a free master's degree sounded wonderful. I liked my job. I wasn't planning on leaving, so I wasn't getting the degree to leave. I was just wanting to advance my education, get the credentials for the future, and so I applied for the program. I applied for the program after only being on the job for 6 months. Now, that was cool because you have to read. And the fine print was if you were a PCWCP, that is a Public Child Welfare Certification Program graduate, which I was, then you could apply and be accepted into the program after 6 months on the job. All right, so there was a girl on my team that I worked with. Her name was Marjorie. Hey, girl. Marjorie and I both applied for the program. I think Marjorie was accepted right away. Anyway, I was not. I need some water. Ciao. Okay, I got some water. So I applied for the program and I got a letter back, not from my boss, but like from her boss's boss, like the head lady over our region. And the letter was like, it was a rejection letter, basically. Thank you for your interest in the program, but at this time, we just don't see how it would be good for your team. So we had a team in that county. We were the social service team in that county. And across the hallway were the investigators, and on my side of the hallway were the ongoing workers, and I was ongoing. So Marjorie had got accepted. I guess her team was considered more stable at the time, and I think my team, the ongoing workers, was down one worker or something like that. And so because of that, they were just like, well, you know, it might hurt your team if we let you go to school right now because you know, you guys are down a person. And so when I got the rejection letter, I just knew that it wasn't final. And I'm like that a lot. You know, a lot of times a rejection will come. That's life. It's, you know, in my heart, I know that it's not final. I mean, there's a way around it. If it wasn't God saying no, then as far as I'm concerned, my answer may not be no. Go again. So I did. And so what I did, you know, I talked to my supervisor. I was like, you know, Marjorie gets to go. What about me? Da, da, da. She said, well, why don't you write a letter? Write a letter to the big boss lady, Renee, and let her know why you think that you should be accepted and why this rejection should not be final. And I had a really awesome supervisor at the time. She was a great lady. I was fortunate to have her. So I did. I wrote a letter to the big boss lady. So, I wrote a letter explaining why it would actually benefit the team as opposed to their assumption that it would harm the team if I were accepted. Number one, I would be in the advanced standing program. In other words, while the graduate program for social work for an MSSW, Master of Science in Social Work, is a 2-year program for the typical applicant, it would not be for me because I had gotten my undergraduate degree in social work from an accredited institution in the state, which means that any graduate program in the state, at a state institution, I qualified for advanced standing. So instead of a 2-year program, for me it would be 1 year. So 3 semesters and I'd have a master's degree. Number 2, during the master's degree program, you have to have a practicum of sorts, and I could do my practicum in the office. Now, I was an ongoing worker. My caseload consisted mostly of, and now this is child protection we're talking, so my caseload consisted mostly of older preteen and teenage youth who had been in the system, kind of languishing in the system for years, who, you know, their parents' rights have been terminated and they were up for adoption or independent living or something like that. But I didn't have a lot of the juvenile cases, and those are kids with charges. And so I made the argument in my letter that we have one juvenile worker and he was overloaded, and if I, during my practicum, could take on those cases, I would be learning, you know, juvenile cases and taking a few of the cases off of his already too high caseload, and ultimately it could balance out the team both now while I was in school and in the future. And I made some other arguments about why it actually would be more helpful for our team than harmful. And I sent the letter to the big boss lady. So I sent in my why you need to reconsider letter to the big boss lady, Renee. And I got a letter back. Accepted! You know, Dana, we read your letter. We agree with you. We see that it could really benefit your team. You are accepted into the MSSW program. So that was exciting. But there was another barrier. I lived in one city. I worked in a city that was 30 minutes away from the city I lived in. And I had gotten accepted into a graduate program that was 30 minutes from the city that I worked in. And I didn't have a car. How I was getting to Shelbyville every day was nothing but God. I had friends help me. There were times I would have somebody take me to work and I honestly didn't know how I was going to get home that day. Like, listen, this was a walk of faith. That's another story another day. But I needed a car in order to be able to pull off grad school. And so I had gotten accepted into the graduate school. I had gotten my rejection letter reversed, and so I was in the program. Therefore, financially it was taken care of, but I did not have a car. Now, I don't borrow money for, you know, for anything. I don't borrow money for houses, for cars, for school. And so that wasn't an option for me. Leasing or, you know, financing a car was not an option. And so I was trusting God this whole way. And so God had gotten me accepted into the program. God had gotten me accepted into the stipend program where they would pay for my schooling. And I think I even got a stipend. I think it was a stipend program. Anyway, the rejection reversed. And I knew that God would make a way. And so let me tell you guys about the transportation, how that manifested. So I was like, wow, God, I am so close. Like, it's about 2 months before school started, okay? I felt like all the faith I had to get to work every day because I didn't have a car and I worked 30 minutes away. And now, you know, I was accepted into this program by faith, and I knew that God would make a way. And so I was like, wow, God, it's about 2 months away. And I was having a day where it was a particularly challenging Sunday. And at that time, my church had Sunday evening services. Now, listen, if the doors are open, I am in church. We used to have 2 morning services and an evening service, and then a Tuesday service, and then a Friday service. And I used to go to all of them. At this time, though, we had Sunday evening services, and I was feeling a little emotionally tanked or drained or something. And I was having serious contemplations of not going to church that night, which might not be a big deal to some people, but for me, it's a big deal just as a matter of principle. I've made a decision and a commitment, and I stick to it. I don't switch up with my feelings. You know, I don't feel like going, so this just one night, it won't matter. No, but I was close to making the decision not to go that night. But I knew better, and so I went on and stuck with the commitment, the decision that I had made. You know, is it Sunday night? Yeah. Is there some reason that you shouldn't go? No, I just don't feel like it. Okay, get your butt to church. So I went, you know, and I know that I probably didn't look the happiest. I'm typically an upbeat personality, but I'm sure I got to church that night and was just like, I'm here. I'm here. So we used to start the service with testimonies, and so the associate pastor, who at that time he was associate pastor, he's such a cool guy. He's got a fun personality. He got up to do the testimonies, and so he had called people who had signed up to give testimonies, and they were sharing their testimonies. It may have been like 2 people or something. And then he was like, Dana. And I looked up. I was not expecting him to call my name. I didn't sign up. I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, Dana, get up here and share your testimony. And I was just surprised. I was just like, what is he talking about? So, plus I was kind of in my little funk, you know, not feeling very happy. Excuse me. So, I just got up and went up there because I had actually just learned how to swim at his house. Like, his wife and his daughters taught me and my friend how to swim, like, earlier that week. And I was like, okay, well, maybe he's saying share the testimony about how you. So I get up there and grab the mic, and I tell everybody about how I think I was like 26 years old or something. I had finally learned how to swim. And so when I finished telling this testimony, he was like, well, that's good, but tell him the one about the car. And I was like, the car? What? And I turned around, and he was holding a set of keys to his Lincoln Continental. His Lincoln Continental. It was an older car, but it was a Lincoln Continental. It was very well kept. It was beautiful baby blue. Anyway, no, it wasn't Continental. It was a Lincoln Town Car. It's been a while, y'all. And he handed me the keys to this car, and it took a while to register. He was blessing me with his car. Now, I don't think he knew about the graduate school situation. I don't think I was like talking to everybody and their mama about it. But yeah, he handed me the keys, and just like that, like 2 months away, when I was staring at, you know, the deadline, you know, everything has fallen into place, and you don't have a way to get to school. Now what are you going to do? And just like that, God blessed me, and I had a car. So he blessed me with the car. I think they may have even paid the transfer. It was just, it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. Every time I look back at that testimony, it's one of the fun ones, one of the more fun ones. So yeah, so let, you know, the Bible says that the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. So if you've gotten a rejection, or if you're looking at, you know, a desire to go to school, get credentials, or something totally unrelated to that, and there seem like there are obstacles in your way, all you have to do is keep moving forward. Keep moving forward in faith. Forward action and total harmony. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. And so, yeah, that's a fun one. So you guys draw encouragement from that God will open doors. And if he opens a door and it looks like when you walk through that door, you're standing in front of a cement or brick wall, there is nothing too hard for God. Can I get a witness? So, God is faithful. All right, so that's my testimony about getting into grad school and God making the way. And I did. I went to grad school. It was challenging, just because I was balancing full-time work, school, and church, but I did it and finished in 3 semesters, and I had my master's degree, and it was completely free, no debt. And I had a car that was completely free, no debt. Standing on my principles. You know, like I told you guys, I had a commitment. I decided when the doors are open, I'm in church, period. And when I almost didn't make it the night that God was manifesting my vehicle, stick with your commitment as a matter of principle. I don't borrow money, so I didn't borrow money for school, and I didn't borrow money for a car, although I needed both. And it seemed like not having the car. I was going to cancel out being able to go to school when God had made a way for free. But I stood in faith and I did what I knew to do. And after I had done everything I knew to do, I stood and didn't know how God was going to show up, but I knew he was going to show up, and he did, and it was so fun. And to this day, you know, that's my testimony. Just like in the Bible, testimonies of David killing Goliath, it is written. It happened. At the time, I can imagine all the emotion, but he stood. And having done all to stand, he stood therefore. So let this mind be in you also. With God, nothing is impossible. So thank you for tuning into my channel. Stay tuned. I think next week I may tell the testimony about how I manifested my dream job, how, you know, God opened doors that no man could shut, because truly it was a seemingly impossible situation, but God. So stay tuned for more Testimony Tuesdays, and I'll see if I can kind of round up some friends and get people's testimonies other than mine, although I have so many to share that I'm excited to share with you. So stay tuned and have an awesome day. Be sure to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe.